Welcome back to K24 Alpha Jury. Of course, I'm your host, Sara and this is Healthy and Wise. For the next 4 days, we're going to have this gorgeous lady that I don't know what to say. Roseanne Kamau, karibu sana K24 Alpha Jury.
Asante, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Please just introduce yourself to our viewers.
Absolutely. So I'm Roseanne Kamau. I am a nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle coach. I am also a mom of 2 girls, 14 and 12 years old. And I am married to my wonderful husband, Peter Kamau. And we've been blessed with just the 2 girls in our family. Yeah. I also come from a family of 7. Oh, wow. Yes, yes.
Same as me.
Same as you, yes. Right. So we're 5 girls and 2 boys.
All right.
My dad is Samuel Kimotho-Miro. He's from Thika. My mom is Victoria. Was a nurse in Gatondo a long time ago. Ended up passing away, but we're very grateful that we've been able to hopefully carry on the legacy that she started in our lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about your snapback game because I mean you have 2 kids and you look like you haven't had a child.
Oh, Sarah,
yeah,
you're too kind. You're too kind.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you.
You have a very interesting story about how you were diagnosed with high cholesterol.
Correct.
But before we get to that, let's talk about your upbringing and how it was for you and how you got to being diagnosed with this.
Absolutely. So my upbringing really, I mean, I grew up just like any other typical Kenyan girl or Kenyan student or whatever. And what happened is we grew up in Thika. I was what they call a tomboy, right?
You were a tomboy?
Yes, I was a tomboy, girl. I was a tomboy. I mean, I used to climb up mango trees with my sister Florence. I used to be, running up and down literally even the rivers when I'd go to Shags. Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those who would go down the river streams. Yes. I mean, I was a complete tomboy, completely. But we grew up in a very loving home. One of the things that I do know is that our home was very loving, I love the way my parents had a great relationship. And one of the things that I remember as growing up was like, I'd love to have the same relationship as my parents. So growing up was fantastic. I went to school in Thika. First I went to Madaraka Primary School. And you know my tomboyness now, Sarah, I'm telling you, if you actually look here, I have a tiny scar. I have a scar. And that came as a result of just me playing and being completely out there in the fields. And literally, that was a boarding school. So I was there for 2 years. I mean, I was very young. Then moved to Gatumaini Primary School. Then from there, moved over to Thika Memorial Primary School because my parents were like, all right, you girl, I'm not liking the company that you keep in. So really that was my life. So eventually moved to Memorial where I ended up standard 8. Then I went to high school. I went to St. Anne's Girls Ryuki here in Kiambu. Okay. And so in Kiambu, in St. Anne's, I remember we had Sister Regina. It was a nuns school. And you know how nuns are, right? Discipline.
Yes.
And
I went to Loreto, so trust me.
Right?
We were brought up in that.
Yes. You have to be lenient. Her thing was, girls, you got to be very careful about boys. So there was that element of you got to be very careful and you've got to be very cautious and you've got to just be super. Her thing was, at the end of the semester, every term, this was the thing. She would say this phrase, girls, and then all of us from Form 1 to Form 4 would say, take care of yourselves. So that's how it was. So that's how I grew up. Very loving home, very in a Christian background. I'm also born again Christian. In a very Christian background, very disciplined, and really one where we're told you gotta really focus. You gotta be somebody in life. And so after that, after high school, I then went to Boston. I went to America. My older sister Angelica was already there, but were hosted by my uncle. Now I'm going to give you a quick story. So remember I told you my parents were strict disciplinarians, right? Yeah. And so when we're going to Boston, before I moved over, I called my sister. And I was like, oh yeah, how is Boston? How is life over there?
Because you're excited, you're going to stay with me.
Hello.
Excited.
Who is not? Who's not? Like I'd be so excited. I was super excited. So at that time, my mom, because she was they sheltered us. At that time, we were 5 girls. I mean, they sheltered us a lot. So my sister wanted us to live in our own apartment, both of us. And we're so excited. So we're talking on the phone here. We're going to live in our own apartment. And at this particular moment when she was there, she was living at the YMCA.
Yes.
The hostels.
Yes.
So when my mom heard that we're going to live in an apartment
by yourself,
by ourselves, she was like, "That ain't happening. Like that's not gonna happen." So that did not happen. So when we went there, my uncle is the one who hosted us, and when we got there, he really followed up to my mom. He's like, "Okay, you guys can live by yourselves."
Oh, you guys wanted the freedom,
right? We want the freedom,
out,
and do all the things that we haven't done. But really, no. So we ended up still staying at the Y, and then started going to college. Now, my second year in Boston, that's when we got a call. Both my parents got into a serious car accident. And so for me, it gets me. I get upset when I see, matatu drivers driving. And literally, it was actually in a corner. And there was 2 cars going down. And so they got into an accident. My dad was actually injured more than my mom. But it so happens that my mom is the one who ended up passing away.
Sorry.
Thank you. That was really difficult, Sarah. It was super difficult. 2 years in Boston. We have younger sisters. My dad has been super injured, just worrying what's going to happen. But by the grace of God, we've continued moving on with life. And then my dad remarried, and he found this beautiful, wonderful wife, Jacinta, who we love, love, love.
Oh, my God.
She's been awesome.
Sorry, just to cut you off.
Absolutely.
It's not many people who actually get to talk this very positive about the stepmoms.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. And she's very prayerful. I remember even there was a season in my life when I was going through a really difficult time. She didn't know this. But literally every day, Sarah, for over a year, she would just send me texts every morning. She didn't know what I was going through, but sort of the encouraging texts, right? But anyway, so he remarried, so we're very happy about that. And then that's where my 2 brothers are, David and Nehashan. And so we continued with life. And around that time, Sarah, what I did is, when my mom passed away before my dad remarried, obviously he couldn't work. So when you're in Boston, when you're abroad, you have to do something. You've got to support yourself, right? So as I was working, before I was working and going to school, so I decided I'm going to take some time off of school so that I can support my dad. Now, in doing so, what I realized was over time, my husband, then my friend, he was my friend at that time, I remember, because I'd taken my time off, he goes, "So since you've taken time off, how much money did you make this year?" And I was like, "Okay, I made X amount of dollars. And how much money have you made this year that you've actually taken the time off?" And it was really the same amount of money. But what I had done is I had actually lost off a whole year of school. So I had to go back to school so that I could then finish where I had actually been sent there, which I ended up doing. I graduated in psychology. And after graduating in psychology, we ended up getting married. We had dated for 5 years. I was like, "Dude, you took so long, eh?"
5 years.
5 years, right, Sarah? That's a long time.
That's not a long time.
No, you did not?
No, because I've had guys who've dated since 12, and they're now maybe 35. That's a long time.
Well, you know what? Let's not judge everybody. But if you
know what it is, then you know.
You gotta put that ring on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Anyway, so we got married. Now, after we got married, we're blessed with our first daughter. And typically, one of the things that they encourage a lot is, even from a very young age, and something I encourage my clients to do, just go see your doctor on a regular basis so that you can get to know where you're at. And so I went to see my doctor. This was after having our first daughter. And when I went to see my doctor, the doctor, generally, the practice is this. If you don't get a call back, everything's perfect. But if you do get a call back, there's usually something wrong. So after a couple of days, I got a call back. And I just remember Sarah being nervous and being scared. Okay, they've called me back. And my sisters are all in the health fields.
So this was a full body checkup, right?
It was a full body, physical, a full body checkup. So there's nothing... I wasn't going for anything specific, no. So when I went back in there, the doctor calls me and he says, "Roseanne, after looking at your lab results, actually one of the things, my vitamin D was low, which is very typical in a lot of, especially Black women, vitamin D levels been low. But the number that, for me, what shocked me the most was he said my cholesterol was low. Now, it was high, sorry, not low. My cholesterol was high. Now, you can imagine the shock, Sarah. Now, I'm just a new mom. I've just had a baby, we're married, and your cholesterol numbers are high. Now, at that particular moment, what I knew about cholesterol was if you have high cholesterol, usually you gotta be old. It's, you're on the last phase of life, right? Yeah. Now, I'm in my 20s, and I'm thinking, Sarah, I am going to die. That's exactly what I thought. And so you can imagine the shock that I had. I'm thinking, oh God, so I'm going to die, which means I'm going to leave a little baby, right? Yeah. What am I going to do? So eventually, the doctor says, now here's a pamphlet. He literally gives me a small paper, and he says, I want you to go read this and figure out what to do. But for me, that paper was so small. Like, for me, it didn't make sense. Based on the magnitude of what he has said that I have, I'm dying.
Paper,
and then this paper, it's not adding up, girl, right? That's not adding up.
Give me the solution already.
Right,
exactly,
right.
Yeah.
So I remember going to the library and just doing more research. What is cholesterol? What is it? What do I need to do? And upon doing all this research and reading up on all this, I realized I just needed to change my lifestyle.
Let me just take you back a
Sure.
little bit. How was your lifestyle before you went to the doctor?
To be absolutely honest with you, Sarah, I didn't even put any thought to it. I ate our regular foods. I would eat ugali, I would eat githeri, but on top of that, I would eat a lot of fried foods, so I would eat chips. I would eat a lot of cakes. I would eat a lot of, I love chapos. Those are, oh girl, man.
I feel like you're just talking about me.
I'm talking about you, girl, right, chapos.
That's me.
That's you, but
I
you
love
look
cakes.
fantastic.
Oh, God.
You do. But I'm going to talk about the look versus the look on the, but you look absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so chapos, mandazis, sausages, that was my life. And that's what I ate every day. As in, I never just put any thought. It was food at that particular moment, right? So that's how I lived.
How did your body look like physically? Did it look like someone who's overeating, someone who needed to go to the...
It did, Sarah. It did. I had actually gained significant amount of weight. I did not look, I wasn't proud of the way I looked. But most importantly, Sarah, my knees were also hurting at that particular time. My back was hurting because I had carried all this extra weight. I had very little energy, like low energy. I also remember I used to get moody and cranky. And what I learned over time was a result of all the things that I was putting in my body. I also remember just even sometimes just feeling very low energy, very depressed almost to that extent.
From nothing?
From really nothing. But really what I found out over time is as soon as I began changing that lifestyle and as soon as I made that shift, completely everything slowly began to change. Yeah.
So the doctor has told you
Yes.
you have very high cholesterol.
Correct.
He's given you this pamphlet. You go home, you read it. What's the next step?
So the next step was I needed to make a shift. And there's three things, if I could absolutely share with you today, that I did. Number one, I knew I needed to make a complete mind shift, a complete mindset change, and I had to change my lifestyle. That's number one. I knew if I wanted to live a long life, if I wanted to bring up my kids, if I wanted to have a longer life with my husband, I needed to completely make a shift. That's number one. Number two, I knew I needed to change my nutrition. That was number two. I couldn't just leave and just go with the flow. Whatever I saw, I just ate. I knew that needed to change. So my nutrition was the second thing that I did. And the third thing that I did, I needed to exercise more because I wasn't moving. I was just sitting down. I had just become a couch potato. Remember even the jobs that we're doing, you're sort of driving in the car, you're sitting down. So there's not much movement that was going on.
Right. Nothing that you're doing.
Right.
No
everything.
exercise.
There's no exercise. So everything is sort of automated for you. And our bodies weren't made that way. So those are the three things that I did, Sarah. I made a mind shift and I made it had to be a lifestyle. And number two, nutrition changed completely. And number three, exercise just became a part of my lifestyle.
All right.
Yeah.
So did you have to undergo any kind of treatment at this particular time?
At this particular time, no. And generally, people who have lifestyle diseases, doctors usually will say, this is reversible, right? Yeah. If you change your lifestyle, because he had said, I need to see you back in 3 months. And so if the numbers are not going down, at that point, it's what they call a threat. They threaten, we're going to start you on some medication. So for me, I was like, I don't want to be on any medication. So the doctor said, I want to see you back in 3 months. And so in those 3 months, what I did, Sarah, was I completely changed my lifestyle, completely changed the foods that I ate. I started eating a lot more vegetables. I started eating a lot of more fiber-rich foods, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys tomorrow. I started drinking a lot of water. Even though I'll be very honest, water has still been, to this day, that's my vice.
It's a challenge.
That's my vice. It really is. That's the biggest thing. And it's always good to be honest, right? Because I ain't perfect. I was talking to some girls before, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not perfect. Exactly. So that's still my vice. So I try to incorporate with green teas or try to flavor it. So I still try with that. So anyway, those are some of the things I changed. Juices, I used to drink a lot of juices. It's orange juice, passion juice. So you're thinking they're healthy, but they're all sugar, which again, I'm going to share with you. So I changed that completely. So when I went back to the doctor, Sarah, after 3 months, the doctor said my numbers had come down. Yes, they had. And that was the exact reaction that I had. Wow, you mean my numbers can actually change that quickly? And when I saw that, Now I just went gung-ho, and I just wanted to even read more and really understand. Yes. Yeah. How does the body work if we can actually change that quickly? And so, Sarah, what I ended up doing is I actually went back to school and became certified, because this for me was not just about me. I thought, you know, if my body can change, if I can change and drop my numbers, I'm sure, and I know there's somebody else out there who has the same issues, the same lifestyle diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, you know, because all these can lead to so many other things, cardiac arrest, they can lead to strokes. And I'm not here to scare anybody, but I'm here to give actually hope and let folks know. If we change our lifestyle, if we change the way we're eating, if we change the way we think about foods, if we change the relationship, you know, between our bodies and food, just as God gave them to us, eating the foods that are made by man, not eating foods made in a factory, I promise you our lives will be so much more fruitful. And we're not going to worry about lifestyle diseases.
Amazing. And I just love the way you talk with so much passion about what you do. Now, speaking of which, how long have you been doing this for? Because now I do understand that you had to change careers because of that, because of what you were going through. Right. How long have you been doing this, and how has it been for you? And moving back to Kenya, a lot of people say, like, yes, you moved back and then you don't know where to start from. Was it hard for you to set up shop here?
So let me tell you, the first thing that I did when we were moving back was I talked to several of my friends. I remember a really good friend of mine, Charity, was just super honest, and she told me the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And I think that was so important for me, because so that mentally I can be prepared and know exactly what I'm getting myself into. So even when I talked about it with my husband, we talked about it with our kids, and we just let them know this is the shift that's going to happen. So mentally we were prepared. More so not for me. I think the worry more so was for the kids, you know, because I was wondering, you know, how they're going to, But they've done fantastic. They've done awesome. So that shift wasn't bad. I think I always say, if you're mentally prepared and if you come with a mindset where you're willing to accept whatever it is, you know, I always say the human mind, or as human beings, we have an element where we have the capability of changing and adapting, but you've got to allow yourself to go through that process. So we've allowed ourselves to go through that process. The first year, yes, a lot of it was research and just trying to understand, is this something viable? Is this something that can actually work? And sure enough, I mean, the market's there. The people who are interested. Lifestyle diseases have crept up in Kenya, and I was actually sharing there's an article that came out, and it said from the WHO, and it said that lifestyle diseases are going to be the next biggest pandemic in second and third world countries, right? Yes. Think about diabetes, it's on the rise. Think about cancer, it's on the rise. Think about high blood pressure. All these things are on the rise here, and a lot of these especially are lifestyle imposed diseases. So
I was actually just talking to someone yesterday and saying that, you know, people are not even scared of AIDS anymore. You're scared of diabetes and cancer.
Right.
But, well, our time is up right now, but it's okay, because I'm so happy we are going to have you for the rest of the week, so it's fine. It's fine,
okay, that was quick.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Having you tomorrow, as now we get deeper into, you know, how to change your lifestyle, you know.
Yes.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you.
And we shall now take a short commercial break. When we come back now, we talk about overcoming drug abuse. Do not go too far.
That was over.
30 minutes.
Girl.